Hi, kindergartners. Today for science in your extension slides, we're going to first take a look at the poem that we have for this week called Animals in Winter. First, I'll read it and then we'll talk about what it's about. When winter comes and it starts to snow, animals need food and a place to go. Bears sleep tight in their den or cave. Squirrels gather nuts to hide and save. Birds fly south to the warmth and sun. Beavers stay in homes until winter is done. So animals have to prepare for winter, just like we need to prepare for winter, but just in a very different way. When we're getting ready for winter, we get nice warm winter coats. Maybe we build a fire in our home. We turn up our heat. We make sure we're nice and warm. We have no trouble finding food because we go get our food in grocery stores. But animals, when it snows, they have a hard time finding food. And sometimes it's just too cold and harsh for them to live the way they always live in the warmer months. So, one of the ways that animals get ready for winter is that they do something called hibernate. And that's the first thing we're going to talk about in science is what does hibernation mean? Not all animals hibernate, but some do. So let's take a look at what hibernation means. And many of you may already know. Hibernation is when some animals have long periods of deep sleep during the cold weather. To prepare them, hibernating animals eat lots of food in the fall so they can survive the cold and dangerous winter. During hibernation, the animal's body temperature drops and its heartbeat and breathing slow down. So their heartbeat's very slow so that it does not use so much energy. So when I was looking at this, I thought, which animals hibernate? And I could not believe how many animals hibernate. I always think about bears hibernating, but look at all the animals I found that hibernate. Badgers, mice, turtles, snakes, raccoons, chipmunks, bats, skunks, bears, squirrels, and a whole other group of pictures. Groundhogs, hedgehogs, frogs, turtles, toads, possums, snails, bees. No wonder we don't see bees in the winter. They're hibernating, and porcupines. So, not all of these animals hibernate in the same places. Some animals hibernate above ground, some animals hibernate below ground. So, I'll read a quick book to you before we have an activity called Who is Hibernating? The bear is hibernating. Where does the bear sleep? In a den. And that's a fancy word for cave or a place where it almost looks like a little home or a hole for the bear. The bat is hibernating. Where does the bat sleep? In a cave. Look at the way they sleep. They sleep upside down. The frog is hibernating. Where does the frog sleep? In the mud. Wow, look, they go under the water and then bury themselves in the mud to hibernate. The groundhog is hibernating. Where does the groundhog sleep? In a burrow. And so this is also underground. You could tell the snow is on top and they dug a tunnel to get to their big hole underground and they made a nice little nest that looks nice and cozy. That's called a burrow. The snake is hibernating. Where does the snake sleep? In a hole. Similar to a burrow, right? The chipmunk is hibernating. Where does the chipmunk sleep? The chipmunk actually makes a nest above ground. They just build a nest, a little bit of an indentation in the ground, but you can see there's snow around them, but they make a nest for themselves to sleep and get nice and cozy and warm for the winter. Okay, so now that we talked a little bit about hibernating, I hope you remember where some of these animals were hibernating: the snake, the frog, the groundhog, and the bat. So what you'll do, and that's what I did, you'll take the paper and you'll cut around this first top rectangle here, right? And then you'll cut these little squares out or these rectangles out. These are the places that these animals hibernate. And it becomes a little flat book. It's kind of a fun little book. So what you do is when you place the correct hibernation place above the right animal, and you'll take glue, and if you see that gray part, just that little gray strip right on top, you'll put just a tiny bit of glue just in that place. Let's see, I just put a tiny bit of glue just on the gray part, and then you'll glue your rectangle on top, just the top, so that it can open up like mine. And so then it will show the place that the animal hibernates, and if you lift it up, it will be a bat. You can quiz someone at home after you finish putting the hibernation places in the right spots. And then if you want, we sent home your science notebooks. Yours is black like this. And if you find a new page where you can glue it in, you can glue this into your science notebook. So when you're finished with your little flat book, you can glue it this way into your book so that when you return to school, you'll have your hibernation flat book in your science notebook there for the rest of the year, so we can keep filling it up. Okay, I hope you enjoyed learning about hibernation.